All right, and this is what we're here for. The mighty fucking Blue Baggers. I've told you, man, and I picked them last week for 12 points.
He did.
12 points. I had a feeling about it, and I said to you, I kept saying, I think the last 2 weeks, I've seen something I like about them, and they come through, you know. And no, it was a good win. It was a great win. It was actually one of the most enjoyable games I've been to since the last Geelong game, if you think about it. Yeah, close the door. That'll be Shelby, yeah.
Well, this was your score. 14-10, 94. Played 12-4, 76.
What a game, mate.
Comprehensive
what a game.
Can I
Victory.
just say something?
Comprehensive.
First of all, how appropriate that when Buzz passed away, it was after a Carlton win over Geelong. I mean, his best highlights were against Geelong. 100%. Mark of the year was against Geelong. Goal of the year was against Geelong.
And apparently, like I read, I don't know if this is true. Were you going to say it? You say?
No, that's all right, go.
Apparently, he watched the game like the night before, and he pumped the air.
Yeah,
he gave a fist pump.
He gave the fist pump. Go the Blues, and then this is why last week or the week before, I had a big rant on
Forever Rivals,
where someone wrote, "I'll get over it. It's just a game," and I'd just like to say to that person. Can you just tell now Buzz's family that it's just a game? You know what I mean? Can you imagine being on your deathbed and you want to watch the Carlton game, you know? Don't tell me it's just a game. It's more than a game. It means a lot to people. It brings people together. And for him, like, it kind of brought a tear to my eye when I read that he watched the game. Because I read it, I remember I was doing something in the city and I read it, and I kind of put a lump in my throat to think that this bloke watched it, and for a moment he forgot about what was happening, and he pumps the air, you know. Go the Blues.
It's probably his last real experience of anything joyful.
Unreal, man. Unreal. Yeah. And that's what footy does.
Yeah, and so I thought that was just incredibly appropriate that it was against Geelong.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say was the day itself reminded me so much of the actual 1995 grand final. It was a murky, overcast day, a little bit of drizzle. Yeah. It just had the same feel about it.
95 players.
And you had to see all of those players on the ground from the 95 premiership.
Did you see?
Must have been
were you there?
To some extent. No, I couldn't get there on Sunday, but I watched it.
So when you were there, all the players were in the goal square?
Yeah.
And then Ange was on the phone, and he's waving to someone, and he was talking to me on the phone while he's trying to find me in the crowd. And I'm thinking, how good's that? The 95 premiership player is talking to me while they're announcing the 95. So, go the Blue Baggers.
Yeah, that's great.
No, that was good. You want to see some...
I reckon the only one that was out there that could probably still play today is Kuda.
I reckon Ange could.
He looks as fit as anything.
Ange runs every day.
You know, he ran a marathon that morning.
He runs every day.
Yeah, wow, he ran a marathon that morning.
Good on him.
He could. I reckon he could. He said to me that he should ring up Voss, right, and he could play like 10 games a year. Just do the kickings. He reckons he could hit someone.
He'd probably get smashed.
I reckon he could hit someone every 70 metres.
Yeah, but can you imagine every time we did it?
Woof. Imagine wolf to wolf.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine Saha to Ange. What did you make of it, Dylan? I'll start with you. The game.
It's very good. I think it made me take back what I said about we have to lose to West Coast. Because things can change.
Yeah.
And I thought we destroyed them the whole game pretty much. I think.
It was an enjoyable game.
I was saying to you how we had to stop them, their transition against the ground, and we did that perfectly. I think we've done that every week anyway.
Yeah.
I think our defence was really good.
The team defence, which Paul has been saying for since all year, was absolutely at its peak, you know. We really had him there, and stopping that outside, even like Bailey Smith, I mean, he's still got 29 possession, but was he damaging?
Not as damaging.
Nah, he was pretty good.
He was good, but...
A lot of his possessions come in the back half, I
reckon he was that damaging. He kicked a few on the full. He kicked that great goal. That was a first.
He's a fire starter for him.
He's always going to be
there.
I thought we defended them well on transition, where we forced them long up the line a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
Not many teams have done that, and we took out and we forced them. Like we can go into the stats and
let's have a look.
Because there's one thing that I want to point out in the stats. So, I mean, we dominated everything.
I know which one you're going to point out.
Well, the disposal efficiency.
Yeah, that's the first time this year.
Well, it's the first time we've won the disposal efficiency, and we held. I know whatever it means. A kick over 40 meters is effective. Blah blah blah. But they did look. Ineffective at times. Some short 20-meter kicks that they would usually make is, they turned the ball over, kicking over the head, kicking to the feet. It's just that extra time that, we didn't allow them, and our pressure was manic, which I thought was really ferocious, and they kept it for nearly 4 quarters of the game, I would have thought. Yeah. 3.5 quarters at least.
There was...
you're going to have those patches on top.
And that's the thing, man. I spoke to someone today and they go, oh, yeah, but we let them back in. And I said, but teams are going to do that.
Yeah. It's what you do after it.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're going to get 10 minutes of footy.
They sort of started doing a lot of the things that we've been critical about Carlton.
Yeah.
They were kicking it and bombing it long into their forward line. Guys like McGovern and Haynes and guys like that, they were having a field day.
Haynes was so good.
We played like them.
Yeah.
Total role reversals.
So what does that say? Does that say if you can put enough pressure onto a team, it forces them into that game,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Sometimes you can beat a team at their own game, which what we did. We controlled the footy quite well. We were patient in at times, and we had to be. Sometimes a little bit, erratic. Cripps is prone to that. Cripps is prone to rushing. The last quarter, he gets a bit erratic.
I saw that, and I saw what Paul said about him. Watch the review. I saw what he said about that, and I watched the last quarter. He wasn't that bad. He was pretty good. I mean, he hit Hewitt. He hit a couple of players there.
But he can be prone to that. He's number one. Yeah. And then there's times where he doesn't go quick enough. We remember the last in the quarter where Charlie was running. I'm not saying he was super. I'm just speaking out of nitpicking. You know what I mean? Because he's that good.
But he was good at the end.
But mate, our execution was fantastic. I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised that we executed the game as well as we did. Are we going to get that for every game of the year? No.
I don't know. But you know what that shows? That we can do it.
Yeah, we can do it against a big team, and we can, flip it on its head.
And that makes other teams think too now. They'll come up and they'll wait a sec. They're actually not bad, you know what I mean? Like, you lose against Geelong, teams are going to start thinking, they haven't got any more. But now, when we go up against Adelaide, they're going to be preparing differently than if we had lost to Geelong,
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I felt before this game that all of the circumstances leading up to it were all in our favour.
Yep.
The 9-day break versus 6.
Yeah,
that's got to have some sort of effect.
I listened to
they looked a little bit off. To me,
I listened to Chris Scott and he said it didn't play a part.
Yeah, he's always going to say that.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of coaches don't.
I know they don't want to use it as an excuse. Yeah. But when you have 3 extra days to recover from the week before, they came off a very tough game against Hawthorn only 6 days earlier.
Yeah.
And it didn't surprise me that they were just a little bit fumbly and a bit off their game. And mind you, we forced them into being a bit 100%. Fumbly too because our pressure was enormous. How was the pressure rating throughout that game? In the last quarter, it reached something like 239.
Yeah, I think it's one of
the 180 or something.
I've never seen
unbelievable
that much.
And I think it was just the pressure that we forced on them. Yeah. And the way we defended the ground too, up the ground when they had the ball was.
That's all we needed. We needed to defend up the ground like that, get the stoppage.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because we beat them in the stoppage every time.
The other thing that was in our favour was the I guess, forced omission of Brian Myers from the week before as well. He's a very important player to them.
He's a key link-up player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can create a lot of score from him. They generate a lot of score out of him.
Yeah.
I think he averages like 10, at least 10, 10 score involvements a game. So,
and the other factor,
still, you got to substitute it out and you got to find it somewhere else.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And the other factor I felt that was in our favour was that it was our home game.
Yeah,
and that crowd was up and about and was absolutely ferociously loud.
67,000. They were loud.
We got loud.
And I thought that was in our favour too.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I said the only way we can win this game. Remember what I said when I was giving my tips? I've tipped Geelong, hand up. Got it wrong, whatever, right? Who did I said only if you go for Carlton, you're tipping Carlton.
And I did.
And even Carlton supporters don't even tip. But, you know,
No,
credit where credit's due, right?
Yeah.
But I said, the only way we can win this game is if our stars align.
Yep.
So I'll just go through them just quite quickly.
Go for
So, you know, I thought they shone the brightest, to be honest. So you got Charlie Curnow, 3 goals, 1, 14 possessions, 9 marks. Thought he was super.
Yep, he was.
Mackay, fantastic game. He had 3 himself, scuffed 1.
It's the first game this year that they played together for the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
19 possessions, 12 marks, and a lot of crucial marks up the ground as well, which alleviated a lot of pressure. Cripps, who was a monster inside again, 29 possessions, 14 contested. He only had 3 turnovers.
Wow.
You know, so 8 clearances as well, 9 tackles. So the bull is what we got. Walsh, who I've been asking to play on the outside. He goes and has 30 possessions, 23 uncontested, which I want to make a point of.
How many tackles?
3 turnovers as well, so not a lot of turnovers. And he only had 2 tackles.
That's the one.
Finally. You know, when it's their time to go, yep, I want him to tackle, but predominantly on the outside.
No.
I want him running.
It reminds me of Craig Bradley. A lot of people used to criticise Craig Bradley. Oh, he doesn't go in right in the middle of the packs and get himself hurt.
That's not his job.
It's not his job.
He was more damaging on the outside.
Of course.
That's why they recruited Greg Williams.
Yeah,
To
100%.
dish the ball out to someone like Bradley,
Correct.
and away they went.
And then we had Wiedering down back on 1 leg, 15 possessions, only 1 turnover and 8 intercepts. So our stars were, you know,
And this is why
they were the fulcrum of why we won.
No doubt.
And when they play well, we will generally win most. I think I'd say 80% of games. When you get stat lines like that, we're very hard to beat.
Yeah. If all of our best players are playing really well on the same day,
forget it.
and everyone
we can beat anybody.
Everyone
Absolutely anybody.
knows that.
Yeah.
And this is what worries teams. They know that. They know that if all our stars perform, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done because you can't stop them all.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is especially over the last 12 months, either through injury or just form, they haven't been doing that.
I'll give you one. I think so. For the first, I call this one for all the injury list merchants, right? Because they play a part. They do play a part. Curnow, Mackay, TDK, Wiedering, all fully fit for the first time since the first week of July last year.
Yeah.
And you can add Jack into that too.
Just a quick mention to Jack. First of all, moving to the back, we were all a bit sceptical about it.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I'll be honest, I wasn't.
So you used to
I was calling for it.
No, I was.
I was. I didn't think. I thought he was a forward, but he's played
He looks
absolutely magnificent.
He's played
Looks
very
at home
well.
back there.
And I want to give him all the praise. He played with a broken knuckle the whole game.
And he stopped Dangerfield.
He stopped Dangerfield for the whole game, mate. And he was still wasn't like it was maybe was,
Just
but
his pain threshold. He can take
he
a
was
lot of pain.
taking
Yeah, a lot of
marks,
pain
man.
he can take.
And another thing,
Some
whenever he
players
takes
can't.
the ball, and Paul said this, are you ever worried that, like, after his disposals, you're not worried?
No.
He's actually a very good kick.
Yep.
So, mate, he's made a huge difference to that back line. He's made a huge difference.
And I think Wiedering looks a lot more settled
100%.
down there as well with him there. A
like
lot
his
more than,
right-hand
a lot
man.
more than if it was Lewis Young or someone like that. So
I think he can trust on a handoff as well.
Yeah.
You know, when the handoff, so he doesn't have to take the initiative on fucking Dangerfield every time when he's 1v1 in the squeak and hand it off to Jack and he'll do the job.
100%.
Especially though, if Haynes and McGovern are doing all the work.
Yeah.
It's less pressure on Wiedering.
Of course. And another thing about Sauce, lose a contest and see how upset he is.
Oh yeah.
Him and Wiedering are like the two that like, and don't get me wrong, I reckon the others are too.
Of course.
But they kind of take
They're
a
most upset
personal.
with
matters to
themselves.
them,
Yeah, no.
He's
He
coming
was
to a
super.
great. Sauce is like a little kid to me, you know, but he's not anymore.
He's 27.
Yeah,
27,
he's
28.
he's a man now, you know.
And for all the people saying that Dangerfield should be suspended, like, mate, that's footy.
come on, man.
It's footy antics, mate.
Yeah.
It's not his fault that his knuckle broke. It's not
he
his
was
fault.
just doing that, man. He just
Mate,
got him.
for the people that are
I can't
saying
believe that
like,
Shearer got bloody
yeah,
cited.
that was they'll
they
get that off.
challenging that?
Yeah, they'll
Yeah,
get that.
yeah,
Come on, it's Carlton. Yeah, definitely.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's right. The guy
definitely-
that
we got
got
it, yeah.
Cripps off that year that
Yeah,
won the
we
Brownlow,
recruited his son.
he's back on the board.
Yeah, we
again.
course,
recruited
mate.
his son.
Well, it's a good
It
move,
sounds
mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're recruiting his
Is it?
son. Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be the deal. But
another conflict of interest.
I know,
Mate,
as long as it suits us, I'm
yeah,
all right.
they were hitting each other, Jack and Dangerfield. Mate, it's just you just go like that. It's just antics, mate, on the field. So people that are calling for him to be suspended, like, no, come on, mate. I know that we all love Jack and all that, and if it was one of our, but be serious with yourself.
Is that what we want to take out to
Be serious with yourself, you know what I mean? So, I thought, he played fucking super.
And because, Dangerfield, he's a beast.
He's
Did
a
you
machine.
see that in the the last quarter?
He put Adam Sard in
but
a
not
body
only
bag.
Adam Sard, the first push-off, I think it was the Fogarty.
Machine.
He just moved him out of the way.
Just see you later.
And then he just pushed it, mate. He was just like a beast.
There's not many that can do that with that ferocity through packs as well. And
100%.
claiming the ball and keeping it. A lot of people, they just...
And then just
skills
handball
out.
the
There's
ball
only maybe a couple of players that can do that. Him, Orn Francis.
He's a beast.
It was a big job to keep it. Because I was worried about him.
Yeah, they nullified his
impact. He could have kicked like 4 goals easily and won the game.
They nullified his impact. He did have a little, when he had that stint in the middle.
Yeah.
In the last quarter, straight away. I said they should have done that earlier.
They did in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They brought him in there, but, I
thought it was a bit early for that. Because he's so explosive, he can get a team when they're a bit tired, and he can burst away.
I think that's almost becoming the last resort for Chris Scott.
Yeah. He doesn't want to.
Dangerfield is now very much just. He's almost taking Tom Hawkins' spot down there, isn't he?
Well, he can play. He's so big and he's a great mark overhead as well. But we played him to perfection.
Yeah.
I actually want to give a special mention to not one that got a lot of praise. Well, not from people that I know, but Sard.
Yeah,
he destroyed Stengel.
Yeah.
He actually had him in his back pocket.
You were worried about Stengel, weren't you?
Well, I was worried about him. He's the one he hadn't done anything in like 3 or 4 weeks. He hadn't done anything all year.
He kicked one goal in the first
but it was over the back.
Yeah, I know, but that's what's dangerous about him. You get him out the back, man, you're not catching him,
But he was gloved all game.
Credit to Wiedering for doing the chase.
He tried to cut that angle.
Yeah, I think it was on the telecast. It did have shades of Buddy and what's his name? Bell Chambers.
But see...
But he kind of stuck with him. He tried to close the angle. On one leg too, mind you.
No, he doesn't give up.
I reckon Jacob would have been going, oh no.
Please don't.
Well, when the ball went over, he was thinking what we're all thinking. Please bounce. Bounce off. Because as soon as it bounced into his hand, he was off.
That's it, he was off.
But credit due, but he destroyed him. Yeah. And he's played well all year, I thought. Defensively,
they're using him better.
He's been good. Been very good.
And everyone that's been saying, now we're all you're down. And mate, this is what we've been asking for. The way they played, the way they did their moves. Yeah. You move Walsh to the outside. Yeah. You get there's a stat about how many times they use Sard,
I think it was 17 handball receives or something like that. Oh, I've got, okay.
That's what we need from him, mate. Like, use him, mate. Break the lines, mate.
Deliver the ball.
And it's also up to Sard, too, to make sure
Sam Walsh had 17 handball receives.
He didn't have, I think he only had like 9 or 10.
9 to Sard, yeah. But I think the weekend before he had about something like 15, 16, something like that. Well, he's a receiver, yeah?
100%. Walsh has got to be the distributor.
Out of the middle. Cripps. The last link into the forward line.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But Cripps is the in and under.
Of course.
Him and Hewitt.
100%.
And that's what I've been asking
for. Courses, yeah.
But how long have I been asking for this?
No,
I know it's not as simple as it sounds. I understand that, but when you know what a player's role is, don't try and redefine what Walsh is. The wheel wasn't broken. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I think that
you can add layers to his game.
I think the pressure of trying to, I don't know, maybe.
But what are you trying to find inside?
I don't know.
Walsh can't give you what Hewitt and Cripps does.
No way.
He can't. He can do it, but he can't do it to the best like Cripps does. Cripps is the best contested ball player probably ever seen in the game.
Yeah.
In and under, there's none better. And then you got rid of Kennedy, and then you've put in Hewitt with that role that you've trusted, and now Chera can play a bit of that. Is that balance? But
you know what? Kennedy was a good player, right? I think him leaving, it's helped everyone in a way. It's helped Hewitt.
Win-win.
Yeah.
I think
It's
so.
helped him,
I
maybe.
think
It's helped
You know
Hewitt.
what it was?
But it's probably helped Kennedy himself. He's playing
No,
well.
and for him, but I think
Yeah, he's
for
playing
our
freely,
side,
yeah.
Hewitt's gone to another level.
Yeah.
But I think he was kind of that
He
player
was.
last year, but he was just unnoticed.
I know.
Now that he's more pronounced that you don't have Kennedy, you see him.
Maybe.
You probably see him with the eye a lot more, but he was. I think he averaged like 20 odd, 25, 26, 27 disposals last year.
Can you believe they dropped him last year?
I know.
No, well, we said it last year. Why would you drop him?
And these are the sort of
Unbelievable.
mistakes that they did last year where
You
it kind
question
of
things.
baffled me last year.
You question, and you're allowed to. It's not like
Look, at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes.
Correct.
Even the club can make mistakes. And
Of
they
course.
probably recognised it
We
because
all
they brought
do.
him back in after only one game in the VFL. I mean, I think he got 35 possessions in the VFL.
Yeah, I know.
So they brought him straight back in and he hasn't missed a beat since. So they probably realised it was a mistake.
No,
but,
he's a good player. He's a very good player. At the moment, he's our best player of the year.
100%.
oh, he'd be in front in the best and fairest.
He's our best player of the year, which
Winning the
is
Brownlow.
it's yeah.
I'll give you another
400
player.
to 1 back to that.
Could you tell early in the...